G'day guys, how you going? Declan from Elros Caravans. Today we're bringing you some more tech stuff. This is going to be based on our Rotomolded water tanks and how we fit them under our vans. It's often one of the sections in a build of a caravan that you don't see too much, so we're going to explain in more detail of how our water tanks vary from a lot of other water tanks that you'll find on caravans in the marketplace. Today we'll also be going over our XT F airbag suspension comparison against the ATX airbag suspension comparison from Cruisemaster there, because we get a lot of questions all the time on that sort of stuff. So stick around now to find out more. First, we've got the different size water tanks, of course. So we've got 120s here, 95 litres, and then these big boys that I'm standing behind right here, which are the 160 litre water tanks. Now, some key features of the Rotomolded water tanks, as you'll see, is that they're just a nice flat rectangular design. And the reason for that is because the tanks have a wall thickness of just over 10 millimeters thick, which makes it a lot stronger in terms of its overall design. You'll often find with other manufacturers' water tanks is that they'll use a blow molded water tank, which has a lot of little corrugations into it, and that's designed in that manner so when you fill the water tank it won't crush. And a blow molded water tank has a very thin wall because it obviously nests the material and obviously costs the manufacturer a lot less money to manufacture and make as well. We have all these tanks made for us by Rotomolding. They're a WA local business and they build them to our specifications, and we also get them to tap and die all of the threads and holes that we require. And the reason is I'll come across here and show you why we do that. Now normally with all of our PVC fittings you'd thread tape these on and then we can just simply screw them into the hole, and then that's going to be a really secure and non-leaking fitting, whereas opposed to just doing a push-on fitting with a hose clamp or other on that side of things. Alright, so some more key features is how we fit all of our John Guest fittings onto our water tanks. So instead of doing a push-on fitting or a hose fitting and then adapting, we go straight John Guest straight into the water tank, again with another fitting here, and you'd normally have thread tape that would go on there to stop it from leaking, but just for the purpose of this video I've just screwed it in, and then simply the boys would then come through and then they'll slide the hose in so it becomes a secure connection, put the click clock fitting into there, and then you've got a nice secure connection for your water hose line to go up and into the van to feed the water system. Other side of things, we have our breathers. So all of the tanks have got to obviously come with breathers. Now I'm not exactly sure of how other manufacturers would do it, but what we do, same thing, we have a threaded fitting here. We then push on a braided hose fitting, and the braid here helps to stop crushing and crimping and stuff to stop blockage. And then uniquely up at this other end as well, we have a brass fitting, and then we also have, it's essentially a diff breather that you would find on four-wheel drives and everything like that when you're trying to do a system that protects the diff from ingressing water and it can still breathe. So this will stop any dust, dirt and all of that sort of stuff from getting into your tank, but it still allows it to breathe and work operationally. And then same thing, just at the top of the tank here, threaded fitting to just thread straight into there as well. So here we got a 120 litre water tank. It's just being prepared to be fitted underneath one of the vans now that's in the production line. But you'll see here that we've got our custom brackets that we mount to the actual chassis as well. So we have bolts that are actually welded to the chassis to accept the water tanks under there. And then although the water tanks are 10 mil thick and they probably don't need to have any extra protections, we still fit 1.6 mil checker plate around the water tank just for a bit of extra safety from rock strikes and other items that may be projected at the water tanks while travelling. Alright guys, now we're into the production line and we've got two distinctly different caravans side by side, so it was a good opportunity to actually run you through the two vehicles and what underpinnings that they are running. So this first one that Naz will look at is obviously our premium ATX airbag that we run by Cruisemaster on this vehicle. This is a 4.5 ton rated suspension, and it comes with the truck style sleeve over airbag system, and it also comes with Cruisemaster's M46 remote reservoir shock absorbers. So they're the key differences between this suspension and now this suspension to your left. So the suspension to your left is what's found on all ECX vehicles that are upgraded with the XTF airbag option. Now this is Cruisemaster's traditionalist style of suspension that you'd normally find in a lot of the run-of-the-mill off-road caravans. Now this is a great option because it's a little bit more sharper priced in terms of its price point than what the ATX system is, but it's also a little bit less functional in terms of its operation. So some of the distinct differences on this suspension is it's a pillow style airbag, so it's a little bit simpler in its operation, and also the shock absorbers are a twin monoshock, so the cartridge is working with the dampener inside, which has its drawbacks as a system as well. Now both of these suspensions are fitted with the disc brake upgrade, but a normal XTF airbag system would come standard with a 12-inch Cruisemaster all-terrain drum brake as the key difference. So some of the pros to the XTF airbag: it's a cheaper system. It is actually lighter than what the ATX system is. And also its ease of use is a very simple system and not many mechanical parts to go wrong. Some of the disadvantages to the XTF airbag is obviously the style of airbag that it is a pillow style airbag. Now when you've got a pillow top style airbag, you've always got the increased risk that you can pop a bag easier than what a sleeve over airbag is going to offer. Don't get me wrong, you can still have issues with a sleeve over airbag as well, but you do have that as a factor that needs to be considered with your decision making on what you think is going to be the right fit for you. Now in saying that, we've fitted probably over 30 plus systems now that are this pillow top style airbag from Cruisemaster, and I've yet to see a single failure from an airbag pinch or a popped bag from an inherent stick or rock, so to speak. So it is still a great system to consider if you're looking to get the best from your off-roading experience on the XTF platform. Now we move on to the ATX suspension. Now some of the pros for this suspension is obviously it's the best suspension system that you can get for your money, essentially at the end of the day. If you want to spend big money, this is the system to get and stick under your van. Now the key features of the ATX system, is that it is a system that's been derived from a military application. So it's a lot beefier in terms of its single arm There's a lot more CNC laser cutting that goes into this suspension, and a lot more single piece design as well. So it's got less capabilities in terms of potentially having cracking and fatigue stress over time. It also is fitted with the air ride sleeve over airbags, which are going to offer you a lot better adjustability, and it's going to be a lot easier on the bump rebound dampening as well, compared to what an airbag, a pillow style airbag is going to offer you. And then moving on to the M46 remote res shock. Obviously, if you've got a remote reservoir on your suspension system, remote reservoirs are there to obviously, over frequent use in off-road applications, the consistent bouncing up and down of compression and rebound in the stroke of the shock absorber is going to cause heat energy. Now, that heat energy is usually transferred to the oil that's in a monotube shock. So that heat directly affects the performance of the shock absorber over a longer period of time. Having a remote reservoir system, the piston inside the shock absorber can work freely without heating up the oil. So you always get a consistent performance from your shock absorber in this mannerism. So the M46 remote res shock is a great option to go for if you're going to be doing a lot of off-grid and off-road travel for long periods of time. And probably the biggest change on the ATX system versus the XDF system, which is an advantage for the ATX, is you'll see here that Cruisemaster have developed a cam lock system for their adjustment in terms of your camber and caster on this suspension. So once you're doing an alignment, you can actually pick the cam location that you want, put a bolt through there with a nylock nut, and you can secure it off. And that way that your suspension, when you're out doing your off-road works, not going to be as easily misaligned or knocked out of alignment, which is a bit of a problem that can occur on the XDF system with its simple nature. Alright, so unfortunately there is some drawbacks to the ATX airbag system, of course. Number one is price. It's an expensive system, it's not cheap, but it is the best at the end of the day. But nevertheless, it is a drawback to the system. Another drawback that you've got is the remote reservoir shock, because it does offer rebound and compression adjustment. If you're not familiar with the workings of those style of systems, it can get confusing, and you can alter your ride drastically if you're not familiar with how to set those systems up. And probably the final thing with the ATX system is parts. Parts are extremely expensive, so the shock absorber is going to be more expensive to replace over a longer period of time, and also a new Firestone air ride airbag is going to set you back almost double of what a pillow style airbag is going to cost as well. So maintenance in the future is things to keep in mind of when you're considering suspension options as well. So what choice do you have to make as a consumer? I can't really give you too much advice. They're both very, very good systems in their own right, but they suit different sectors of the market. 90% of clients will get more than what they need out of an XTF airbag system. It's going to be reliable off-road, it's going to give you the peace of mind that you need, it's going to give you the flexibility when you get to site to air down and air up. So it's going to tick most of the boxes that everyone's looking for. But if you're that person that wants the very best of the best, then the ATX system is a no compromise system that offers you great flexibility and also gives you the full customization of your system to get the dampening and compression where you want, and also gives you the peace of mind of having that better tunability with the air ride Firestone sleeve over airbags as well.